stop. Wow. Don't you wish that you could sometimes get away from the craziness of modern life? To have some peace and quiet, maybe some solitude, in a beautiful natural setting? Maybe do some boating in a place like this. How about camping in a spot like this? Or this? How about doing some spectacular biking? Or spending a night in a rustic cabin like this? Or this? Maybe a night in a beautiful mountain lodge. Would you like to walk along a beach like this one? Or this? You know what? You can, because you are one of the owners of all of these places. Yep, that's right. As an American citizen, you are a partial owner of our nation's park system.
In other parts of the world, there are certain areas that are preserved because some rich nobleman, out of the goodness of his heart, decided to decree it. But in the United States, you don't have to be dependent on some rich guy being generous to you. To me, that's what national parks mean. It's a symbol of democracy. Democracy when it works well.
So let's say you're planning a vacation. Here's a pass for the Disney parks. It lets in a single adult to any of the Disney parks in the United States for an entire year. And it only costs $1,299. Now here's an annual pass for the United States park system. It admits an entire carload of people to any of the nation's 423 parks for an entire year. That's national parks, national monuments, historic sites, national seashores, lake shores, recreation areas, scenic rivers, and more. Its cost? $80. Yep, $80. This is the absolute best deal in the entire universe. Here's a short summary of what you could get for that $80. And these are just the 63 national parks. Naturalist John Muir once wrote, quote, "Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul alike. In God's wildness lies the hope of the world, the great, fresh, unblighted, unredeemed wilderness. The galling harness of civilization drops off, and wounds heal before we are aware. Mountain parks and reservations are useful not only as fountains of timber and irrigating rivers, but as fountains of life." Unquote.
One of the last jobs I had in Yellowstone was delivering the mail on snowmobile. There I was in the world's first national park, and I remember going down into Hayden Valley. There were bison crossing over the road, 2,000-pound mammals crossing over the road, and it was so cold, it was about 60 below zero. And the bison, as they breathed, their exhalation would seem to crystallize in the air around them. And there were these sheets, these ropey strands of crystals kind of flowing down from their breath. And I saw them, they just moved their heads and were looking at me. And I remember thinking that if I had not been on that machine, I would have thought I had been thrust fully back into the Pleistocene, back into the Ice Age. And I remember just stopping and turning it off, because the only way you could hear is to turn that thing off. And I would turn it off and I would listen. And I felt like this was the first day. And this morning was the first time the sun had ever come up. And the shadows that are being cast right now is the first time those shadows have ever been cast on the earth. And I was all alone, but I felt I was in the presence of everything around me, and I was never alone. It was one of those moments when you get pulled outside of yourself into the environment around you. And I felt like I was just with the breath of the bison as they were exhaling, and as I was exhaling and they were inhaling. It was all kind of flowing together, and I forgot completely about the mail. All I was thinking of was that a single moment in a place as wild as Yellowstone, or most of the national parks, can last forever.
So get out into the parks for a day, a week, a summer. You will never forget the experience.